Good evening, fellow Zambian citizens. So I quickly want to speak to three things this evening, just to give you something to think around as you rest this evening. The number one issue I want to speak to is the arrest of, Mark II, Mulaza Kaira, who is aspiring for one of the constituents, I think in Changa in Chingola. Now, the information I've received is that Mark II went to address a gathering of widows and small-scale miners. I am reliably informed that this grouping had actually even informed the police. In short, they had gotten permission from the police for them to gather. Now, Mark II was arrested because the people that gathered or brought together this gathering did not inform the police that Mark II was actually going to address them. Now, it must be made very clear, it is not a duty of the attendants of a meeting to inform the police. It is the conveners of a meeting that should notify the police. So if Mark II went to address a gathering and the conveners of that gathering had actually notified the police, then one would want to wonder, why did the police have to detain Mark II? In any case, you know that the law is very clear. We don't get permits from the police to gather. We simply notify the police so that if, in fact, the notification is so that they can provide security for our gathering. But it must be understood very clearly. If I am invited for a gathering, it is not my duty to go and notify the police that I have been invited to a particular gathering. It is the duty of the conveners of that gathering to inform the police. So if I am arrested, having gone to attend a gathering where I am invited, the police have got no place in arresting me in the first place. Or in fact, my big defense is that I am simply an invitee. I am not the one with the duty to inform the police or notify the police that I am going to such and such a gathering. For as long as there is documentary evidence that I've been asked either to go and speak or simply to go and attend a particular gathering, which is why, if I go to Matebeto as an example, why should I bother as to whether they've gotten a permit or not? I have simply been invited. The conveners of the Matebeto are the ones who are going to be answerable to the law. In any case, imweba UPND, mwambo kutina Mark II. Umwa ichefe Mark II, mwambi okutina, mwambi okula sunshani, okula tola mmaseos, for simply going to address people. Chachire firabalanda tukwamba okutina ekinshingwa mwamona, you thought that takwaba opposition apa nomba mwamba okutina n'ekinshingwa kyenu. Mulekeni umwaiche, if he wants to run for a parliamentary seat, let him. If Efyama rules, Kabuse was addressing a big gathering yesterday. Did he get a permit? Or all these gatherings that your members are having, whenever they pokama permits, I thought that you could prove to be different, because if you mwale irishanya when you were in the opposition, lelo imwe tamule fuafi notu anotu nono kwa tule kumana mwenso ishimukwete mba UPND tamula ati koseni honorable koseni. Then the second issue I want to speak to is the issue of fuel. Now, sometimes I speak like I am a prophet. I started speaking to the issue of fuel from 2021 when I was elected. I warned the UPND. The decision that the UPND made for government to step out of the fuel subsector was going to haunt us. I have been on this subject for years, since 2021, urging government to rescind its decision to step out of the fuel subsector. I have provided evidence that there's no country in the world that has left the fuel subsector into the hands of the private sector completely. That is why, in the wisdom of our forefathers, they establish those strategic industry in Ndeni na Tazama, so that at any particular time, we can have enough storage of fuel so that in case there is trouble, I have said this several times, in case there is trouble where we get fuel, either in Tanzania or as the case is from the Middle East, we would at least have some buffer or some cushion, because we would have had some, fuel reserve stored for us to navigate around that period of uncertainty. Here we are. There's serious shortages of fuel, especially diesel, across the country. I am in Kitwe. Today, I managed, by the grace of God, through one filling station, I have been down from yesterday, no fuel, I couldn't move. The entire Kitwe does not have diesel. Now, this is not a story of Kitwe alone. This is a story nationwide. Problem tailamba no kwamba. Now, imagine the people have endured load shedding for years. Load shedding yashita kustabilize twaingira nomba muri fuel. Why? Lack of planning and lack of proper leadership. A leadership that can focus, can plan ahead. And these are not things that we've not spoken to. We've been speaking to this issue from day one in 2021 when we were elected, into parliament. But our speaking, our words have been falling on deaf ears. Abanesu nibamano njikwatile, they think that they own the monopoly of wisdom, which is why nangumuleba chita advise vena tabomfa, because they think that they own the monopoly of wisdom. Here we are, from load shedding of 4 years, we are now entering into a phase of the fuel uncertainty. Inonshitano kwenda kwala shupa ngana ukwata tu fuel kutusungirira bwino. And diesel is very critical for industries. Diesel is very critical for products to move from one point to another. Very soon, the wheels of the economy will stop moving because trucks will not move. Machines that operate on diesel will also stop functioning. This is where we are. Why are we here? Because of poor leadership, incompetent leaders, or the people that are not prepared to listen to advice from others. It's up to you, for the Zambian people, to judge what we are dealing with. The third issue is the issue of the joint venture, the ZAMSA versus ACUMS pharmaceutical plant that is expected to be built here in Zambia through a joint venture arrangement. I gave the UPND an opportunity when I moved a motion in Parliament to respond to the many questions that are being asked around this deal. There are so many gray areas surrounding this deal, starting with the terms of the condition of the joint venture, and now the revelation that has been made as to who is part of the shareholders and the team of directors at the newly created company that already are about to be given contracts by ZAMSA. Now, I gave an opportunity to the Minister of Health to make a statement, and I gave an ultimatum up to Tuesday. So Monday next week, when I get into Lusaka, I am going straight to the Anti-Corruption Commission to report this matter. After that, I am engaging my lawyers to commence legal proceedings against the Minister of Health, the Minister of Finance, as well as the Attorney General. Because, unfortunately, it can't be business as usual. Where we suspect corruption and we should be folding our arms as I am folding now. It will not be the case anymore. We are going to be following these matters from the start to the end. So I want to make a promise to all of you who are involved in that arrangement of the joint venture between ACUMS and ZAMSA, that you are not going to let me off the hook, or I'm not going to let you off the hook that easily. This matter is a matter of national interest, and you are mandated, you have a duty to respond to we, your masters, the people that gave you the power that you are enjoying. In short, you are answerable to us. So we are demanding answers over this very disturbing deal. Until that statement, iliria shi talile lala. Nga fya balanda babemba tifi lala fya munda ya mumala. Okay, let me add the fourth issue. The fourth issue, of course, I received a letter from Parliament, from the National Assembly, written by the clerk of the National Assembly, acting on behalf of the Speaker, in which letter I am being asked to, exculpate myself over a complaint that has been made by the Minister of Transport, Honorable Tayari, to the effect that I made a reference to his watch in Koloko, which I said was $120,000 watch. Now, unfortunately, those of you who are familiar with this story, you know that, Honorable Tayari was reported on many platforms, social media platforms, credible sources for that matter, as having been putting on an expensive watch. Now, Teine, it is not me who started that story. I was simply commenting on the story that the minister was putting on an expensive watch. In fact, commentators are saying it's actually £120,000 watch. Now, the chances are that that picture we saw of Honorable Tayari putting on that watch was either AI or that watch Honorable Tayari was putting on is fake. Because the truth is, the watch is clearly known unless it is fake. Now, if it is not fake, it means those who reported the value of the watch are very correct. So I don't know why the minister is very upset. Could he be saying to us that, yes, narifwale nkolo kweyo, but it is a fake watch? Maybe that is something that we are going to have to speak to when I respond, to that later. I'm speaking to these issues because they are kind of the issues that have made headlines today. The arrest of Mark II, the letter from Parliament asking me to exculpate myself for simply making a comment, to the effect that Honorable Tayari was putting on an expensive watch. And I know the commentaries are that, a minister putting on $120,000 worth of a watch is something the UPND cannot stand. After all, the UPND spoke to issues of lifestyle audits. By the way, what happened to the lifestyle audit, proposal by the UPND? I thought that when they came into power, they were keen in introducing a lifestyle audit law. Baingira bakamba basange diru. Mwaba madiru mu government. Minister, ualestisha fyaka moto kakamo pe month. Alikula ma hotel. Kumakopa beoti huko. Ero muleta lifestyle audit teka nyeni mwe tuwale mieba mpombo wivilima ababilima tabaya. But guess what? Idimulefu mapo ba UPND. All those things are going to be scrutinized. The way you keep antagonizing abanenu at proceeds of crime, ala mukashana pelete. Mukamona abanenu fobale pitamona imwe efya balanda tinali kwebere tabulapo. Ichindikeni isopeni ifyo mulei kala imwe because inshiku shalingenye wishi nanina ine. I'm just a messenger of goodwill, wishing you all the best. But I just thought that I could speak to these issues. As you go to bed, you can reflect upon these issues. Have a lovely night. God bless all of you. Thank you. I remain Bino Mpundu, Ichaba Iche, Tonse Alliance, Presidential Affairs Chairperson. Nadi wa media shiria Tonse, Konse kwa pitani BM8, Brano Munduire. No shadimo akabamo. You can understand why abanesu bali nechikonko pamukoshi balefu afena lunchi ngapi tabai katabatwala kujere. Mwala turonga banga tuli ready tukaya muri amwine tukalalanda fechi bemba mu prison. Aleni Nalande pompelele lesampale.